Whatever you may believe, there are definitely times where things should have just not gone the way they did. Except they did. If you are an old fan of Lizzie, then you might remember Trollcraft, her modded Minecraft survival series that makes use of a mod pack created by KahanDK and X33N. During episode 3 of her series, Lizzie had no idea what she was getting into during her first few days playing around with the mods. After constructing her Barbie mansion home base, Lizzie made the first mistake of placing her nether portal a tad too close to the entrance of the house. A massive quadruped demon had wandered its way out of the nether and blocked Lizzie's only way into her house, so she was unable to grab a sword to slay it. After being killed by the demon multiple times and finding even more demons outside her house a little bit later, Lizzie was having a less than ideal day on the server. Thinking the worst was behind her, Lizzie decided that she wanted to add a little bit of decor to her Barbie mansion. After trying to dye her bed purple, Lizzie decided that her bed would be prettier if it were pink. Lizzie couldn't have foreseen what came next.
What was that? What?
After applying her pink dye to the bed, a demon appeared out of nowhere and began pursuing Lizzie, killing her once again. After finally facing down the phantom, Lizzie managed to slay it with her sword. Thinking it was over, Lizzie tried once again to dye her bed pink. But to her dismay, Lizzie accidentally summoned another demon.
No, seriously? What is happening?
It probably comes as no surprise that LDShadowLady hopped on the Among Us bandwagon when it was incredibly popular back in 2021. What you may not have realized was how many unlucky times she had while playing the games as the imposter. For example, after partnering with her fellow imposter Quig in an attempt to get a double kill, Lizzie was a little too trigger happy as she killed Dowsy right in front of Jack before Quig had time to react. In another game, Lizzie was going on a killing spree, having killed Scott, Ollie, and Quig in one round, just to come face to face with Rest in Peace Mika only seconds after killing Quig.
Oh dear.
Lizzie, you look real suspicious right now.
In an Among Us game using proximity chat, a chat where you can hear other players when they are nearby, Lizzie killed Twitch streamer Stardew Maddie only for CPK to stroll by just in time to hear Lizzie chuckle in delight.
I was running past and I heard Maddie go, "Oh, thank you for the tier 1 sub there." I just heard Lizzie go,
In another game that used proximity chat, Lizzie was caught by Scott for maniacally laughing after killing Joel. Lizzie claims to be the worst Among Us player in the world, and we can't really blame her after slip-ups like that. In her first episode on the Empire server for Season 1, LDShadowLady began to build what would become her glorious ocean empire from the ground up. Things looked promising for Lizzie as she befriended a red parrot in a nearby jungle. After taming it with some seeds, Lizzie crafted a boat and set sail with her first loyal subject to the ocean empire. Lizzie settled on a tiny grassy island in the middle of the sea where she began to build her lily pad starter base, and her little parrot friend even scared her a bit by imitating the sounds of a zombie while she was building. The empire was shaping up quite nicely as Lizzie added a lily pad shaped farm to her starter base. But this all changed when Lizzie accidentally pushed her loyal subject into a campfire. In honor of the deceased parrot, Lizzie added a graveyard lily pad to her starter base where she provided a headstone in remembrance of her feathered friend. We hope that Lizzie's parrot will rest in peace. In episode 13 of her series for Season 1, LDShadowLady made it her goal to map out the entirety of the Empire's SMP server. While the job might seem straightforward, Lizzie learned very quickly how complicated cartography can really be. Not only did she struggle with accidentally making duplicate maps, but she also burned through her entire paper supply after only a short time. After struggling through Pearlescent Moon's Elytra challenge, Lizzie received 21 stacks of sugarcane which she used to create more maps, and she slowly but surely continued filling out the large map. After she created a few more duplicate maps, Lizzie heard the worst news of them all. Joel told Lizzie that she could have just purchased maps from a cartographer villager this entire time for the reasonable price of 1 emerald. After this, Lizzie also discovered that her map room was too small to fully encompass the entire server, so she was forced to move each of the maps around to make more room. After finally filling in the space between the empires, Lizzie finally finished. Did you know that LDShadowLady and Smallish Beans appeared on YouTuber Tom Scott's trivia game show Lateral? Using the team name Pinky in the Brain, Lizzie and Joel were given a series of trivia questions as they faced Geoff Marshall and Vicky Pipe, English YouTubers for a railway and train-based channel known as All the Stations. While they gave it their best shot, Lizzie and Joel struggled their way through Todd's highly obscure trivia questions, and Lizzie was forced to answer questions about things she knew nothing about, including topics like Ponzi schemes and camelopards.
Oh gosh.
Maybe something to do with how he looks, so that people notice him more when he...
The team did have a bit of good luck, such as when Joel correctly answered that thunder occurs in the atmosphere of Jupiter, and when Lizzie correctly guessed that US President James Polk used a theme song at any time he entered a room at public gatherings. Overall, however, Lizzie and Joel were eventually beaten out by Geoff and Vicky, and they were removed from the game after losing in the elimination round. Smallish Beans and LDShadowLady have typically been relationship goals during their time on YouTube, but they have had their fair share of betrayals and backstabbings over the years. In episode 2 of Lizzie's Last Life series, we get to see a little bit of this play out as Joel, the current boogeyman on the server, acts under the guise that he is going to take his Lizzie to a hidden enchantment table. After leading his wife into an eerie cave, Joel set off a redstone contraption meant to remove the floor from right beneath Lizzie's feet.
Did you just try and kill me?
Thankfully, Lizzie was quick on her feet and jumped over the trap, and the two began to engage in a brief scuffle. Joel accidentally fell for his own trap, dying of fall damage in the process. Just as Lizzie thought she made her escape on half a heart, a stealthy zombie snuck up behind Lizzie and finished her off. Now having lost 2 lives at this point in the series, Lizzie decided to spread around Joel's identity as the boogeyman to get her revenge. In her 3rd episode on the Afterlife SMP, LDShadowLady decided that taking the Ender Dragon on by herself sounded like a lot of work. But you know what also sounded like a lot of work? Asking other people to help. So instead, Lizzie decided that she would trick everyone she could into helping her. After sending out ominous invites to players such as Sausage, Shubble, Fwip, Ollie, Scott, Jimmy, and Joel, Lizzie had everyone gather in her elevator shaft, only to swiftly break the ground from underneath them. As each player plummeted into the end portal, the obsidian platform got a bit overcrowded, causing Lizzie to be hurled into the void. It's funny how plans backfire like that. In episode 8 of X-Life, LDShadowLady took a trip to the Nether while on her 4th life. In the X-Life series, the amount of health you have equals the number of lives you are on. So in Lizzie's case, she only had 4 hearts to spare. After walking through the portal, Lizzie was almost immediately scooped up by 2 orange tendrils and began bobbing up and down on the ceiling of the Nether. After logging off for a second, Lizzie asked Joel to help her.
I need help. Please help me.
He placed a couple of slime blocks underneath her feet to cushion Lizzie's fall. As Lizzie broke free from the tendrils, she landed on the slime blocks, but they were not enough to cancel out the fall damage. Alas, Lizzie had lost her 4th life and was now halfway through all her lives in the series. I'll see you next time.